I feel like I'm in a daze, Bloom.
Well, certainly we've been spinning round, baby, right round, like a record, baby, right round.
Mm-hmm. Whew. Let's do it.
You got a team, here's a word to the wise. You want to dominate your league? Go to football, guys.
Football, I'm living in a fantasy. Football, got everybody mad at me. Football, cause every game I had to win. Football, I gotta be a champion. Football, I'm living in a fantasy.
How does the quarterback movement so far in free agency impact what we'll see in the NFL draft, Bloom? The Atlanta Falcons will start there. They're out of the quarterback market in the draft. And in fact, their pick might be up for grabs now because, well, they could move back and collect picks. It's kind of what they need to do. And we know quite a few teams want to move up, but is their pick high enough to get your JJ McCarthy's or Drake Mays or whoever?
Yeah, that's the key to this draft, right? And I like that you said JJ McCarthy or Drake May. I know that folks out there may say, I wouldn't take Jalen Daniels number 2 if I was Washington, but that's not 100% of the exercise we're doing at this point in the NFL calendar. It's not a question of what you would do. It's what's Washington going to do. I'm rushing because I want to get to this amazing trenchant point. It sure looks like Washington, and Cecil, you've hinted at this, is zeroing in on Daniels. And at that point, is New England sold on Maye? Is New England sold on McCarthy? New England was in on Calvin Ridley. Will they just say, we want our number one receiver? We want Marvin Harrison. Will they trade down? And then will Arizona trade down? Will the Chargers in the middle of cap pain trade down? The Giants got Drew Lock. They're set, right? I mean, there's a room for a third quarterback on the roster, and so on. And so you see how these things all are interrelated, interconnected. And let's add in not only Kirk Cousins, but Kirk Cousins is bringing with him, well, free agency's bringing together with them Darnell Mooney. Because what everybody's watching also is how are the wide receivers going to fall? We may have one of those moments, Cease, like the Marcus Davenport moment, where we have a trade up into the top 6, 7, 8 and think, oh, it's for a quarterback. Not so fast. It could be for a wide receiver. So we love it. We love all the permutations. We love to be guessing, and that's what we're doing right now.
That's what we're doing right now, and we're just kind of waiting. I am sick and tired of being on call with the Broncos, Bloom, because it's like, all right,
they haven't done anything.
They're
going to do something, right?
Now, I will say this. They did pay most of Russell Wilson this year, so I think they took the larger hit, $50 million this year, and that was the plan. So we wait, but we're waiting also for the draft to fall. And the Giants, I'm not sure, Bloom. I'll do some nosing around when I'm at the owners' meetings, but I'm not sure they're out of the quarterback conversation whatsoever. I'm excited for Drew. I'm happy for Drew that he'll get an opportunity. And when's Daniel Jones even going to be ready, right? So it could be Drew Lock out there week 1, or they could just draft a quarterback because we know, well, they kind of want to. Well, I don't know. I don't think Drew Lock changes their want to.
It shouldn't. It shouldn't. See, whether we're talking about Bo Nix, JJ McCarthy, Drake May, let's assume for a second that Williams and Daniels, there's just no point. You want to do opposition and research on them, facing them, but you're not going to be drafting them. But every team that doesn't have a long-term answer at quarterback, even say Seattle, Pittsburgh even, should be really studying up on these guys. Number one, we never know when someone's going to fall. We never know when a quarterback is going to fall farther than expected. And how many chances do you get? This is a unique draft in so much as we're going to have quarterbacks go 1, 2, probably 1, 2, 3. It's in the realm of possibility, even if it's a small possibility, they will go 1, 2, 3, 4 or 1, 2, 3, 5, which pushes some very good non-quarterbacks down the board. So this is a lot of wild cards here. And I do think that teams like the Giants might miss a golden opportunity if they are so focused on what they have on their depth chart right now. And it really should be driven by your evaluation of the quarterback and whether you think he's a franchise quarterback.
Yeah. Do you think he's a franchise quarterback? What can you do? And then the wide receivers, because we know Arizona's probably zeroed in on Marvin Harrison. But when's LSU Pro Day? Is it today? Is it
It's
I
coming up.
just woke up, Bloom. It's coming up, but Malik Neighbors might be seen as that guy.
Sure.
There are people that are, of course, this is the time of year. Marvin Harrison, to me, is in a similar vein to Calvin Johnson, where it was like he doesn't catch everything, I guess. I don't know. He's kind of perfect. But there are evaluators, Bloom. Maybe they're totally wrong because they're probably totally wrong.
Yeah.
That are like, and hey, listen, I think you said it a while ago, like 3 best players in this draft might be wide receivers.
Right. Right. And Marvin Harrison, just as a quick draft aside, if we're going to talk about Marvin Harrison, this is one of those cases, and it happens where the scouting community, the NFL media has been watching him for so long that you almost take for granted what you get, and then you start looking for flaws. This is what happens during draft season. Every player has flaws. There's no perfect player. So absolutely, if Harrison is anything but the number 4 pick, arguably anything but the number 3 pick, depending on how you rate these quarterbacks, maybe even the number 2 pick. I think it's reasonable to say that he's such a good prospect at wide receiver that you need to have very, very few reluctant hesitation moments watching a quarterback if you're going to take a quarterback over him, even though quarterback is such a premium position. But Cease, wide receiver is a premium position. You know, Justin Jefferson has been in the news, even though there's been nothing to do with him specifically. Just, is he going to get traded? Are they going to sign him to an extension? Did they almost sign him to an extension? If Justin Jefferson were to get a contract as a percentage of the cap that was similar to the one that Tyreek Hill got when he went to Miami, he'd be getting about $37 million a year. So it's coming, folks. And absolutely, wide receiver is a premium position. So if you say, what about cost savings? What about having a quarterback on a rookie contract? Well, hey, having a number 1 wide receiver on a rookie contract is pretty good too.
Yeah, that's pretty damn good. And it's tragedy, as my man Bugs Bunny would say, Bloom. And you bring up Jefferson, I'll bring up Sam Darnold, who does not change a damn thing for Minnesota. They'll still take JJ McCarthy right there. So, like, Sam Darnold, oh my God, they got that. No, they didn't. Like, and by the way, the Broncos didn't offer him. Okay, so I had to scold my brethren in the Denver media because they're like, Denver's so terrible, even Sam Darnold said no. Well, if they didn't offer him, how's he supposed to say yes? Because the price got to 10 million and they're like, out. And I'll tell you off air more stuff. I might have already told you. I don't think Sean Payton's too ate up about missing out on Sam Darnold. Let's just call that a hunch, everybody.
Right.
But with Minnesota, okay, they got the guy. Well, yeah, but they still might draft the guy.
Yeah.
And hey, JJ McCarthy might need a year, of seasoning. That might be the best plan for that young man or whoever Minnesota takes. They want JJ McCarthy, from what I know right now. Sam Darnold doesn't change anything like that.
Yeah, this isn't exactly a state secret, as a lot of mock drafts have had Minnesota taking McCarthy either at number 11 or moving up for McCarthy. And I think, again, as we're talking, Cecil, we're putting together these pieces from free agency and the draft and how they're interrelated and affecting each other. A dream scenario for the Chargers, for maybe Arizona, depending on their absolute grade on Marvin Harrison, would be for Denver and Minnesota to both be in on McCarthy. Because then you feel like if number 4 is available and you want McCarthy, you better trade up to number 4. Number 5 will be available. I'm pretty sure the Chargers will have their pick available. Now, again, if you want McCarthy, it isn't even just the threat of getting ahead of the other team as the board looks right now. It's beating them to the punch to get the pick to take the quarterback. So, yeah, I think McCarthy to Minnesota makes sense. I think that Sam Darnold has as much effect on their decision-making as signing Mike Glennon did when the Bears signed Mike Glennon before they took Mitchell Trubisky. 2 moves they'd like to have back, but that's all in the rearview mirror now.
Yeah, it's in the rearview mirror now. And has anything happened with Justin Fields? God,
no.
Bless America.
What's happening is the narrative continues to shift. It is shifting from, well, maybe the Bears really, really want to make sure that Fields isn't the guy. Maybe it's teams needing to wait and see what is going to happen with this free agent class. Maybe it's teams needing to wait for the draft. And this is really sad, Cease, because I think that, as I'm saying stuff I've probably already said on the show, Carson Wentz There was a market for him coming off of a failure year with a bad contract.
Mhm.
Sam Darnold, there was a market for him coming off of a failure. I mean, you could say, well, what did the Jets give him to work with? Well, what have the Bears given Justin Fields to work with? So I think objectively, Fields should be worth at worst a second or third round pick. When you look at what the second or third round pick buys you in the draft at quarterback, even if he's just a high value backup who may hit, and if he hits, you get a comp pick if you don't keep him, that's easily worth that draft pick. So I'm not sure what's going on here. There was talk that the Colts, which I thought that would have been brilliant, honestly, if the Colts had Fields as a backup to Richardson. They signed Joe Flacco. There was talk about the Browns again, after all the trouble the Browns had at backup quarterback before they got Flacco last year.
Yep.
That made a lot of sense. They got Jameis Winston. So the Steelers, again, they get Russell Wilson. The Falcons get Kirk Cousins. Where will Fields land? At this point, Cease, it's possible he's a Bear to open the season. And then at that point, you have an open quarterback competition where you could see this actually turning into a jackpot for the Bears if Fields wins the job in week 1 and plays well. And next time around, yeah, there is not a market for his services because he'll be a free agent.
Well, I'll go back to what I heard first. I think it was in Dallas at the Shrine game. They're going to keep Fields and keep the pick and take Caleb Williams. And I had conversation with a high-ranking NFL executive. And when I said that, this person was like, "Well, what else are they going to say?"
Well,
like, yeah. And now maybe that just becomes true from a different way. They're going to keep Fields, yeah.
Well, and it's. Have you heard it's hard out there for the real estate market right now? You keep up with the real estate market, Cease? Real estate guy?
No,
not a lot of real estate in your portfolio, I know. But the interest rates,
comic books and shoes and cars are in my portfolio. I should switch to real estate though. There's actually some land in the mountains I want to buy.
Oh, nice. We should talk about that, should we? Like to look at that. But
Football Guy's studio up in the mountanes.
Oh yeah, with
the
snowed in like antenna, we could do pirate Football Guys radio. Let's do it. But in the it's hard to sell right now because of interest rates down here in Louisiana, the cost to have property insurance and so on. And if you're a seller, sometimes the right answer is, well, that this commodity, this piece of property is going to be worth X multiple more than it is in this very depressed market. So instead of selling for pennies on the dollar, you wait until maybe the market comes to its senses on the value of Justin Fields. So I almost think if the best offer for Fields out there is, say, a 4th or 5th round pick, a 3rd day pick. Now, the other variable here, and this is a test of an organization, are you tiptoeing around, well, how will Caleb Williams feel? How will he feel if he has to compete with Justin Fields? How will he feel if there's this other quarterback who probably has the respect? Okay, so here's a question for you, Cease. Do you think Justin Fields is a leader of the Bears locker room?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
No hesitation. No hesitation.
Absolutely.
They love him.
So now there's a position that says, hey, if Caleb Williams is your franchise quarterback, if he's worth the number 1 pick, if he's worth passing up the team that's going to back up the truck as far as resources for the number 1 pick, then he should be mentally tough enough to handle that. No problem. But hey, Caleb Williams is the first NIL superstar, right? He's the first franchise quarterback to come up when college players had a lot more self-determination, right? Got to pick their spots and so on. So that's a question. And it's a question the Bears are going to have to answer. But again, Cease, it's one that honestly, here's your legal tampering oxymoron. It might be their only option.
Yeah. I've already brought this up on the local airwaves, Bloom. I'll toss it to you if you'd like.
Sure.
I just feel bad for Justin because of the narrative that's followed him into the league that was bogus when he came out of Ohio State. And there was rumblings that people ran with before checking about him using his epilepsy to get out of practice.
Yeah.
His teammates absolutely love him. The problem with Caleb Williams isn't Caleb. It's the people around him. It's his dad.
Sure.
And it's his handlers, his management team. It's a team 3 thing all over again, but with a rookie who's never played. So that's a
What's
potential
team 3
issue.
for the folks who out there might not know what team 3 is?
Russell Wilson had a group of people that were allowed in the Broncos facility that could tell the Broncos when Russell was done practicing.
Oh,
Yeah,
Russell will
yes,
be available between
yes.
11 and 12.
Russell has done enough now, so they would like monitor his GPS and his heart rate and everything, and which say technology, whatever. But for a football team, like you're telling us that he's done, we're not. The rest of the guys ain't done. So yeah, I mean that created problems, and that's why Sean Payton booted him out. The first thing he did when he got here. Either way, that's the problem with Caleb. Where was I going with this? I know where I was going. Here's where I was going. There, and when you talk to Buffalo people, and it's funny, Bloom, who you talk to on which side. There's a Sean McDermott side that is pointing the finger at Josh Allen. There's a Josh Allen side that is pointing the finger at Sean McDermott. I think McDermott gets bounced after this year, but nobody's talking about the problems Josh has as a passer. He's got a beautiful arm, great arm, and he's a better passer than Justin Fields. Fields is not yet developed as a passer, but it's not like Fields can't get better
Right.
with proper coaching.
Proper coaching and surroundings.
Proper coaching. And no one says a God blessed thing, Bloom. Sorry, Joe.
Yeah.
No one says a good blank thing about Josh when I know, and there's stuff I can't say, and I'm sorry I have to do this. They are taking steps this year, McDermott's side, to help Josh as much as they can to not play hero ball, essentially. I'll wrap it up that way.
Yeah.
So no one says that about Josh. But then Justin Fields, nobody trades for him. It was like, he can't throw. Well, Josh has got some problems from the coach's perspective. Again, for me, there's things Josh needs to focus on more. It's called football, but it's like there's a conversation that we don't have with a guy that hasn't done anything. And I love Josh Allen. He hasn't done anything. Like lead that. They should have multiple Super Bowl appearances right now with Josh Allen. It's not the Mahomes. They ran into Mahomes. Like, no, McDermott sucks as a coach, and Allen's got to get better as a passer. Nobody says crap.
Right. Well, see, so I'm thinking of Jalen Hurts, right? What would we be saying about Jalen Hurts if after not anything really distinguishing in his first year, the Eagles said, we're going to go with another direction. Remember, the Eagles, the draft after he didn't look great coming in it was a debacle at the end of the season for the Eagles. They had the draft capital to get a quarterback if they wanted one.
For
They
sure.
had.
I remember they ran the hell out of the ball at the end of that year because they're just like, oh, got to cover.
That's
for
all
this
we can
guy.
do. Yeah. And then pulled Hurts at the end of the game, Nate Sudfeld, Doug Peterson, all that stuff. My point is, what would we be saying about Jalen Hurts right now? Would we be talking about him like Trey Lance, right? Would he be basically in the same category? Oh, he must not be able to play. Well, he must be a bad quarterback. They must have looked at him and said, there's no way this guy's going to make it, right? That's what we'd be saying, right? What if the Packers hadn't stuck with Jordan Love? What if the Packers had gone a different direction from Jordan Love last year? Oh, well, they must have, they've been watching him. They know him. He must not be able to play. So I think that's part of what we're getting with Justin Fields. And much like Jalen Hurts, going into 2022, Fields hasn't really been given a fair shot. The Bears only started to really get things together around him on either side of the ball last year. So I'm going to applaud the team that ends up with him. Although, again, I think we're circling all the way back to, at this point, by default, it may still be the Bears, which could be something that ends up being, gives them an embarrassment of riches if Fields answers the bell for this situation, or it could be something that messes up their plan. You're messing up the plan because Caleb Williams is the franchise quarterback.
Well, even though I can't stand them, I so admire them. And I see our guy, Ian's cat here.
Oh, right on Ravens.
What would Baltimore do with Justin Fields?
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Hey,
right.
Hey, come here. Football therapy. We got you. We love you. And at the end of the day, it sounds maybe odd to some people. All players want is a flippant coach to tell them the why, some egotistical maniac coach, just tell them the why when they're coaching them. And they just want a team to love them. Love them up. Love them up. Love up Justin Fields, man. You might be coach up Justin Fields. Love up Justin Fields. You might be surprised.
Absolutely. I think that's absolutely the case. And I think that again, we can bring up Trey Lance, and let's see what happens with Trey Lance. It was interesting that Rich Eisen bandied his name about with respect to the Vikings, and even though it doesn't look like the Vikings are going to trade for Trey Lance now, Trey Lance will be a free agent next year. Hmm. So I do think I guess this is just a reminder that we should not be too quick to judge a quarterback. We should look at the surroundings. We should look at how they've been developed. We should look at whether their team has really ever given them a fair chance. And this cuts both ways because we'll circle back around to Russell Wilson and how you were telling people, anybody who would listen, people on our show listen, we love them. I want to say hi to we got a long time listener who's with us, Jamie Pirog. Sorry. Yeah. What's up, man? First time here live. We have a lot of fun live here in the chat room. It's a great group of people. I sometimes wish I wasn't doing the show so I could just hang out in the chat room. But you were telling our listeners a long time ago, like nothing that happened with Russell Wilson should be surprising if you listen to the Audible, because you told people from the beginning, Sean Payton doesn't trust Russell Wilson. Sean Payton's not actually even running the Russell Wilson offense. So this is where we get hope as Steelers fans, right? This is where, because the last 2 years it was Nathaniel Hackett and it was Sean Payton. And maybe if you meet the quarterback where he is, what Russell Wilson can do at this point, then maybe you get better results. And I think with Justin Fields, you wonder at this point if the Bears have ever met him where he is.
Yeah. Wonder how that happens. I'm going to be talking to Mike Tomlin in like 10 days. I'm going to be picking Mike's brain about Russ. Yeah. Like, so, Mike, how's it going, buddy? You got Russell Wilson.
That's okay. That's what a good manager does. A good management person brings in all kinds of personalities and makes it work, brings them into the program, secures buy-in, right? I think.
Yeah. I mean, maybe that's how it happens. I don't know. By the way, Bob Harris said he'd work from our mountain studio.
Yeah.
We need a football guy's enclave,
It's like the guru at the mountaintop. To be on the show, you have to be able to get to the mountaintop, right? That's what you find at the mountaintop is us. Can you bring us some snacks?
Bob up in the mountaintop. That would be awesome. That'd be great. Sitting around, eating snacks. It is Colorado. Everything's legal here. Everything.
Yeah.
Joe's like, hey, buddy, could you lay off the bong rips before the show, please? Water pipe. That's all it is, Joe. Tobacco use only. Anyway, did we miss anybody?
Let's pour one out for the Deontay Johnson era and the Mason Rudolph era, for that matter. And that one's sad, Cease, I think, because I don't know if it's a failure. I mean, how many wide receiver trades have the Steelers lost? Not many. When the Steelers trade a wide receiver, no matter how it looks at the time, usually in hindsight, it looks okay. In this case, though, was it Matt Canada's fault? Blame Canada. Was it the Steelers' unimaginative offense, inability to improve at quarterback that soured a relationship with a wide receiver who's about as good at getting open as any receiver in the league by the measures, quantification that they have? Or is Deontay Johnson just a terminal malcontent and he's going to burn bridges in Carolina just like he did in Pittsburgh? But the return on Deontay Johnson in the trade, a pick bump from the 7th to 6th, and Dante Jackson, who hopefully at least will restructure his contract and to be an acceptable number 2 corner across from Joey Porter, who will take on the number 1 receivers in the division. It's sad. It's just a sad development for things to end up here. And it makes you wonder if things are going to get better if the Steelers don't start to be a forward-thinking organization on offense.
Yeah, Lester asks, is Hollywood going back to the Ravens?
I think maybe back to the Cardinals.
Okay. He also was saying in the chat room, like, so the Broncos trading for Sam Howell, that's not enough to be on call for. Lester, brother, it's been so bad here. Yeah, we'll do 24 hours of coverage. Sam Howell, how does he throw less than 21 picks? Like,
yeah.
Ask Rag and Ballsack. It's mayhem in the AM.
But little Jordan Humphrey's back.
Oh, you know what I said last night on Orange and Blue Today too?
Mike Burton.
I said, get Michael Thomas and make him a tight end.
Yeah.
Make him the Joker, right? He's just gonna move around. There you go.
Have you figured out who the Broncos are trying to suck for if they don't get JJ McCarthy?
Well, this would be the year to get your quarterback and it's super early, but next year there's like Shadur and Shadur
Versus Shooter. It doesn't quite roll off
and
the tongue.
yeah. Are you sure about Shadur? Like,
No.
I'm sure he
Trademark
needs to
that
be,
right now.
I'm sure he needs to be faster.
Yeah.
Whereas Andy Locke has asked me about tips for his son. I haven't talked to Dion about tips for his son because Shadur is pretty awesome in terms of pass placement. He's a see it throw it guy right now. He needs to start throwing before a guy makes his break. So, but like next year's quarterback class, there's only one. Like, I mean,
We'll
there'll
see.
be more, but this is the year. We didn't even talk about Michael Penix yet.
Right.
Perhaps the most elite arm talent in this draft is Michael Penix. It comes with a sidearm left-handed Teddy Bridgewater thing. It comes with 2 bum shoulders, 2 bum knees. Although his medicals were great, but he's in the first round conversation. In fact, I've said it before. I'll repeat it again. New England, if they don't get Jayden Daniels, will move back, and then they will consider getting Michael Penix later in the first round. Like 30 or something. So
yeah.
Michael Penix can sling it, man. There's no question he can sling it. And I did ask him on the record about his work ethic because I wanted that quote out there from the rumblings that I'd heard, early in January. So
yeah, the Patriots are the team now where their plans are being made based on other teams' decisions because they're not a mover and shaker right now. But yeah, you got to have that backup plan in place. And again, the number 3 draft pick, it's where the real draft starts at this point, is at number 3, assuming Daniels goes number 2.
Yes. Chris says, what are the Cowboys doing for running back?
Zach Moss at $8 million for 2 years was apparently too expensive, past their point of comfort. Really? That was reported. They wouldn't outbid the Bengals for Zach Moss. Yeah, it's going to be, I don't know. It's rough out there.
Yeah. Okay.
Zeke.
Oh my God, you said it. You said it. There you have it. All right. There is a wrap for today's program. Gave you a little extra lanyap. Usually
it's big times.
Yeah. It's a lot to say. We have fun on this show.
Return to the couch next week.
Yeah. There you go. Matt Williamson.
Doing a show in a little bit. I don't know when it's going to come out with Alan Seslowski. Love that guy. He's a mensch. So lots of talk. No shortage of free agency talk. And Cecil will just remain on call, circling the airport.
Here we go. Pro days coming up next week. Owners meetings in a couple, 10 days, whatever. Yeah, lots to get to. Anyway, he's Sigmund Bloom. Follow him on Twitter at Sigmund Bloom. I am at Cecil Lammey. The show is at The Audible. Make sure to check out Football Guys. Pick up our free rookie draft guide right now, footballguys.com. Check it out, and you will love it. He's Sig. I'm Cece. We are The Audible. Everyone out there, thanks for watching. Stay tuned, and would you please stay frosty.